My name is Jeremy, and this is a bonus series of the Good Beer Matters podcast from the 2022 Craft Brewers Conference. Every year, the Brewers Association puts together the Craft Brewers Conference, or CBC, as a means for industry professionals to continue their education, network with peers, and improve quality and performance. I attended this year's CBC as a member of the media, and because there are plenty of beer pros that didn't make it, I want to share a few of the many exhibitors that I think you ought to know about. Some of these companies I'm already familiar with, and I personally know they're doing great things. But some I recently discovered and thought were cool enough to share with you. Either way, I hope you enjoy this highlight of CBC 2022. Oh, and by the way, I have not been compensated by any company to produce this series. I simply want to help good things get out into the world. Why? Because good beer matters, of course. Thank you for listening. Cheers.
Here we are at the Craft Brewers Conference in 2022 in Minneapolis, and you've got this beautiful setup, and all your entire team is just rocking these awesome Hawaiian shirts in Minneapolis. So let's start with who are you and what do you do?
I am David Norman. I am the founder of Arryved.
And so tell me about Arryved.
Arryved, we're a point of sale built for craft. That's really where we started. There's an inherent viral nature to the craft experience that a lot of the owners and operators are trying to go for, but they're also very, very keen on their brand. And so we wanted to build a point of sale that reflected them and their personality and how they can always ebb and flow and be very being very...
You got great socks, by the way.
Yeah,
and everyone's
yes.
grabbing socks.
And being very fluid in the way that they want to be able to manage their tap rooms. And so we wanted to build something from the ground up that allows that fluidity throughout an entire establishment. Where you might start in the tap room may be vastly different than where you start in the restaurant, which then if you end up on a mezzanine in a different place, so we can tie that entire experience together.
So are you able to change this to kind of fit your needs? Is that?
Yep, and also what works on a Monday isn't what works on a Saturday, because you may be really, really busy on a Saturday, and a Monday you may want to get your bartenders away from the bar and being able to go out and engage with the guests, because they're really your brand ambassadors at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to understand this a little bit more, because I've experienced lots of different points of sale, either in retail or bottle shops or restaurants. And it seems to me that there are different products out there, but point of sale is a point of sale is a point of sale. Tell me about Arryved, because you focus on the craft. I mean, how do you personalize that to that experience?
Well, it's a very good question. And so really a large portion of this comes down to how you want to engage with your customer. And really that's the ultimate piece of it. How you want to be able to, if it's going to be for online sales, if you want to do QR codes, those are types of ways to be able to do it. But really, ultimately, you want to be able to give the choice to the customer how they want to engage with your brand as well. So having a point of sale that basically can be mobile with you anywhere and do things tableside is really, really key for that experience.
Yeah, I've noticed when we go out, now that we can go out, there are more servers carrying basically their computer with them. And I remember, sorry, this is a back in my day story. I remember back in my day, there were like 2 computers and there were like 5 servers deep, waiting in line. I got to get my order in. Come on, hurry up! And now they're bringing the stuff tableside and everything's just done right there, and it's just super slick.
Well, and it also helps in terms of flow, because a lot of people in terms of establishment, you're slinging a lot of beer at that point.
Yeah.
And if you can be able to put in orders far more gradually instead of going back and blasting them all into the system at the same time.
Yeah, because the kitchen doesn't like that.
Nope, kitchen hates that.
And the bartenders hate that.
And the bartenders hate that.
Yeah.
And so now you create a consistent flow throughout your entire establishment for that as well, which makes for a better experience as well. Not only that, cranky servers tend to end up with cranky guests, and we want the entire thing to be very seamless.
Yeah, and we'll come back to that in just a second, because your servers, your bartenders are your prime ambassadors. They are the face of your business. And if I own a bar, restaurant, brewery, I can't be everywhere at once. So the people that I hire are going to be my representatives. So, how do you? I'm sorry. Who is this for? Who is Arryved for?
Arryved is actually for the entirety of the ecosystem. So you're talking the brewery owners, you're talking the staff, you're talking the guests that are there.
And so your customer would be breweries?
breweries,
Okay.
at pretty much anybody who is a craft establishment, but we started primarily for breweries because they are so focused on their brand.
Okay. So if I sold beer, cider, kombucha, sake, wine, cheese, anything, anything that's craft oriented.
Yes.
Okay.
And not only that, any craft establishment that also does food, we absolutely do food. So it's not just limited to beer, but what makes us unique is the fact that we track all the fluid ounces that goes through your establishment. We give you all sorts of reporting to be able to tell you how your brand is performing, where your loss could be, how a keg is performing. All of those pieces we actually built into the system as well.
Interesting.
So it's very, very tailored towards craft.
So you spend a lot of time trying to simplify this or make this better for breweries, but just a minute ago we talked about the customer experience. How do you define a good customer experience?
Well, that's always an interesting one because there is a difference between what is service and what is hospitality.
Yeah.
Everybody can do service.
Yeah, everyone can take orders.
That's right. It's the hospitality is the way that you feel and how a brand can be able to engage with you. There's numerous different ways. We have several clients who use taster programs to be able to influence the feeling that you have in regards to an establishment. One of the key things that they do, their staff, they tell them you have to give away 20 tasters today, which is a great experience. You're talking 4 ounces of beer to somebody at that point.
Yeah.
And that level of
That's
engagement,
cheap marketing.
it is really cheap marketing, and you're dealing with liquid gold that you might as well try to use in some good possible way. The other thing that you can be able to do is use those tasters to find out what converts from a flight to a pint.
Yeah.
And your brewers get a lot of great information from that as well, because if they have a person who's getting 4 ounces and that converts then to 16 ounces, that's a pretty good signal that it's probably a good beer.
Yeah, good call. So then, and you just started dipping into this, so let's kind of flesh this out even more. How do you create or curate this experience for the customer?
Well,
and never mind the brewery. We're done talking about the breweries now. How, as me as a customer, how do you make me happy when I show up to a brewery?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I think that also depends on what the establishment wants to be able to do. However, you have to engage with your customers where they want to be. You're going to have some people, for example, my wife would love to just go to a brewery and not talk to anybody. So she's absolutely more geared towards a more digital experience. Says, just go ahead, I'm going to buy a beer and leave me in the corner. Whereas some people who are like me, I want to go and engage with the staff. I want to engage with the owner. I want to get information. I want to hear the story. I want to hear why you're thinking about the beer names that you had come up with. Those are the pieces that are far more tangible. And if you have great people inside of your establishment, that creates a different level of engagement as well, and really keeps that customer engaged as well.
Gotcha.
So.
Cool. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming to the Craft Brewers Conference. I hope it goes well for you.
Well, thank you. It's been a great show so far. So
awesome.
Thank you.
And how, if anyone's watching and listening, how do they get these amazing shirts?
Maybe after the show, ping our head of product for Alex and find out exactly if we're going to sell these.
I was going to say, are you guys going to raffle these off? These are.
I have no idea. I think you might want them cleaned before so.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.